What's up, Tailgaters? My name is Tailgate Nate. Welcome back to my channel. I'm back with yet another schedule preview and record prediction video. Today we're going to be dealing for the 2020 Texas A&M Aggies. Texas A&M, first year they joined the SEC, they were really good. I believe they went 11-2, shocked number one Alabama, and ever since then, Texas A&M has not really performed that well in the SEC. This year, Texas A&M is expected to be really, really good. Of course, they're returning quarterback Kellen Mond. They're losing some guys out there on wide receiver, but guys like Jamon Osmond is coming back for the wide receiver. And then their defensive backs and linebackers are elite. They have probably some of the best in the SEC. So Texas A&M is overall expected to be really, really good this year. So let's see if Texas A&M can get on top of the SEC or if Texas A&M is going to be yet another average team. All right, so here's the schedule for the Aggies. Again, they're in the SEC, so there's going to be a really hard schedule. You look at the bottom there, their 2019 record was 8-5. They went 7-5 in the regular season and won their bowl game against Oklahoma State. Then up there, you're going to see their home games are going to be in that maroon-brown. Their away games are going to be in white with the maroon-brown background. And then they have a neutral site game, and as always, that's going to be in black. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at their schedule. First game of the season, they're going to play Abilene Christian, and they're not going to have a problem with this one. I give Texas A&M the easy win here. Then they're going to play North Texas. It's another home game, just like the Abilene Christian one. And North Texas is an FBS team, but they're one of the worst in the FBS. Not really all that great. The Aggies should also have no problem with North Texas. Now this is where things start to get a tiny bit more interesting. You have Texas A&M playing Colorado. So Colorado's going to be coming on the road in Texas to play Texas A&M. It should be a fun, competitive game to watch. Both teams looking to do better than what they did last year. But in my opinion, Colorado is going to be taking a step back this year. Colorado always has a roller coaster type season. They usually start out really well, then toward the middle of the season, they kind of fall apart, then sort of get back together at the end of the season. And I believe that Colorado is going to do the same thing this year. They're probably going to start out looking really, really good, and then they're going to lose games that they shouldn't. And this could be a game that Colorado could prove to people like, hey, we belong here, we're a good team. And this could also be a game for Texas A&M that says, hey, yeah, we can handle Power 5 opponents, as after that game, they're going to go into SEC play. So it's going to be a really fun, interesting game to watch. But overall, Texas A&M just has the far better talent than Colorado. I give the Aggies the easy win here. Then it's their neutral site game. Texas A&M is going to play Arkansas. It's a neutral site game. Should be a pretty interesting one to watch as Arkansas is getting transfer quarterback Felipe Franks over from Florida. But overall, when you look at the talent surrounding Arkansas, besides Felipe Franks, it's not that great. We expect them to maybe do a little bit better, maybe a win or two more than what they did last year. But Felipe Franks is not going to surprise anybody and go, do some amazing things at Arkansas. I think he'll be good, but he's not going to be good enough for Arkansas to be able to beat Texas A&M. A&M's defense is just far better than what Arkansas brings to the table in their defense, so I give the Aggies the easy win here. Then it's a road game against Mississippi State, and I would watch out for this game. This could be a sneaky game. Mississippi State, of course, getting transfer quarterback KJ Costello over from Stanford. And they're also getting a new head coach in Mike Leach. So Mississippi State, as I said before in SEC videos, should be a pretty fun, interesting team to watch. But overall, Mississippi State probably isn't going to do that well. But you get Mike Leach, the Pac-12 coach, with KJ Costello, the Pac-12 quarterback, and with the air raid of Mike Leach and how KJ Costello can throw the ball, Mississippi State should be a fun team to watch. But Texas A&M, again, just has far better talent. I believe that Kellen Mond is a better quarterback than KJ Costello, so I give the Aggies the win here. Then they have to go play Fresno State. Shouldn't have problem with this one. Fresno State was a team to give Minnesota a good game last year. Fresno State has given some Power 5 teams some pretty tough and good competition. This year, I don't expect Fresno State to do that, though. Just not enough talent as they've had in previous years. They were ranked a couple seasons ago, actually. I believe it was 3, 4, 5 years ago. Fresno State was in the top 25 poll, but ever since then, they've kind of fallen down and gone to sort of a rebuilding phase, so I'll give the Aggies the easy win here. Then it's a road game against Auburn. This game is going to be hard to win for the Aggies. Auburn just has so much good young talent that we know is already good. Of course, Seth Williams, the wide receiver, lots of guys on defense are really good and really young. If Jatarvius Whitlow ends up staying an Auburn Tiger, he's good young talent. And, of course, Bo Nix, the good young quarterback. Texas A&M has some good young talent, but we don't really know what they're capable of yet. Kellen Mond loved to rely on his senior wide receiver last year. He loved to rely on the seniors to really get things done. Defense did not play all that great last year either, hence why they went 7-5. So this is going to be a really hard one to win. I feel like Kellen Mond is going to be able to find his new target, especially since this is week 7. But I'm leaning towards the Tigers in this one because overall just much more talent for the Auburn Tigers, and they get him at Jordan-Hare Stadium, so Tigers will win that one. Then it's a road game against South Carolina. I'd also watch out for this one. South Carolina is a pretty interesting team, but overall, when you look at the talent surrounding both of the quarterbacks, Kellen Mond for the Aggies and Ryan Helinski for the Gamecocks, it really doesn't compare. On paper, it's a complete mismatch. The only thing working in favor for South Carolina is the home field advantage. And I don't care who you are, home field advantage is home field advantage. They could give Texas A&M a pretty good game, but I don't see Texas A&M having much of a problem with this one. Give me the Aggies. Then they get their bye week. If you're a Texas A&M fan, you probably would have liked to have your bye week a week later, but it's nice because it's after 2 straight road games. You know, you get a week before coming back to play at home. Fairly good spot for a bye week, in my opinion. And after that bye week, they get to play Ole Miss. So just like Mississippi State, Ole Miss is getting a new head coach, and that's going to be Lane Kiffin, old Alabama coordinator. But they're getting a lot more back than Mississippi State. They're getting John Rice Plumlee back. They're getting Elijah Moore back. And those two guys are really, really explosive in their own respective. If you didn't know, John Rice Plumlee was their quarterback, and Elijah Moore is a wide receiver. So Ole Miss could be a fairly good team, but they have to play Texas A&M on the road, and Texas A&M at home is not an easy team to beat, and it doesn't matter how good Texas A&M is that year. Always a hard team to play at home. I'm going to give the win here to the Aggies because it is at home. Ole Miss could maybe make it interesting for a quarter or two, but Texas A&M will run away with it in the end. Then they have to play Vanderbilt. This is going to be an easy win. Vanderbilt is the bottom team in the SEC, also bringing in the worst recruiting class in the SEC. I went more in depth in my SEC Power Rankings video. Vanderbilt all around is not that great of a team. Aggies will roll over the Commodores. Then their last 2 games of the season are really, really hard. They have to play Alabama on the road, and I'm sorry, but there's absolutely no way they can win this one. There's so many ways that they can make it close. Texas A&M could make it a hard-fought game, but playing Alabama on the road this year, Alabama is going to be at such a different level than they were last year and such a different level than they have been in previous years. It's just not possible. Alabama is going to be a very hard team to beat. Now, I think they're going to end up getting a loss somewhere because the SEC is going to be competitive and the SEC is going to be really, really good. But overall, when you look at this matchup, I would take Alabama every single day of the week. Then their final game is going to be against LSU. This is such a close game for me. I talked about it a lot in my LSU video as well, but this really is such a close game for me. 2 teams are very evenly matched. LSU is losing a lot, but Texas A&M is returning some, and these 2 teams are the most evenly matched I've seen in quite a long time. Of course, these teams are very evenly matched this year. Of course, a couple years ago, this game went into 7 overtimes, and Texas A&M won it with the game-winning 2-point conversion in 7 overtimes, and that was an incredible game to watch. Last year, LSU blew Texas A&M out of the water. It was not even close. This year is going to be like the 7 overtime game. No, I'm not predicting it's going to go into 7 overtimes, but it's going to be a very fun, competitive game to watch. And it really is close to me, but I'm leaning towards LSU because of 2 guys, Jamar Chase and Derek Stingley. Those 2 guys make a world of difference, and that's why LSU is going to win this football game. All right, so now with everything being said and considered, I have the Aggies going 9-3, and I stated that my 3 losses are to Auburn, Alabama, and LSU. Now, they could very well go 10-2 with a win against LSU, or they could, maybe perhaps lose on the road to Mississippi State or on the road to South Carolina. But when you look, besides Auburn and Alabama, Mississippi State, South Carolina, they aren't that tough of road games. Mississippi State and South Carolina, they might give them a little bit of a scare, but overall not that tough of a road game. So I have the Aggies going 9-3. All right, so now let's move on to the record range. And you guys know this by now. I take this team's worst-case scenario along with their best-case scenario, and that's kind of the range that I expect them to be in this year. So the worst possible scenario for me for the Aggies is 7-5. If losing the senior wide receivers was such a big deal and the defense just doesn't take it a step up this year and Kellen Mond has to do everything by himself, it's going to turn into a Virginia-type team in which Bryce Perkins would have to do everything himself. In this scenario, it'd be Kellen Mond. He can't do everything by himself. Texas A&M is not good enough for that. Kellen Mond has to be able to rely on either his running game or other wide receivers. And if that doesn't happen, I truly could see them going 7-5, especially with how competitive the SEC is going to be. Losses in this scenario would be to Auburn, Alabama, LSU, Mississippi State, and then either South Carolina or Ole Miss. Maybe Colorado beats them. Maybe Arkansas beats them on a neutral field, but I can't see the Aggies doing worse than 7-5. Just because their non-conference is not all that challenging. Then their best case scenario is 11-1. So their best case scenario is 11-1 and not 12-0 because they have to play both Auburn and Alabama on the road. Maybe if they were to maybe have Auburn at home or Alabama at home, I probably could see them going 12-0, but more likely than not, they're going to be splitting the Auburn and Alabama games or maybe losing both of them. But I do not see them winning both of those games. I see them losing one of those 2 games. But if Kellen Mond just ends up clicking with his young wide receivers and they get their running game going, and the defense, after losing Justin Matabuike, if they really can step it up, Texas A&M is going to be a very, very good team. They have the potential to do so. When you look, there's not a road game besides Auburn and Alabama that sticks out. And if they can win one of those, they're definitely going to go 11-1 if they can get through LSU. But again, my prediction for Texas A&M is 9-3. So that's going to do it for my schedule preview and record prediction for the Texas A&M Aggies. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like. Also consider subscribing if you're brand new to the channel or just enjoy my content. If you haven't done so already, please leave a comment down below and tell me your thoughts on the Texas A&M Aggies. And until next time, remember, play hard but tailgate harder. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.